Alright, so this is going to be a longer video. This is probably going to be the longest video I've made, which is cool. It's cool that I'm actually doing something different for once. But I mean, yeah, man, like, I just need to rant a little bit. So, things are not ideal in my life. Things are never ideal in anyone's life. Everyone's always trying to improve. But one of the main issues that I'm facing is, despite there being a lot of good things happening in my life that I know that I am genuinely really grateful for. It's not like I'm not. I'm just constantly going through different mood swings. One day I'll be extremely happy. Everything will seem good. I'm very motivated. And then the next day, usually it comes as the result of me like overeating or something like that. Something just not really going right. And then I'm just absolutely destroyed for that whole day. I have zero motivation to do anything. And it's like how I feel about myself very much depends on whether or not I'm disciplined in terms of eating. Which is not a fun way to live when you're constantly not being disciplined about eating. So, yeah, it just leads to pretty much constant stress, even though there are a lot of great things in my life. The other thing that's stressful is that I basically applying for a lot of scholarships, or there's constantly scholarships that are due, and I just really don't want to do them. Like, I know logically the amount of work you have to put in compared to the amount of money you can be getting from them is really great. It's so much better than like working any sort of job, because you could be getting $500 and it takes you 2 hours to do the application. That is a $250 per hour wage, which I mean is phenomenal. Logically, I understand that, but I cannot get myself to do it, just because it's partially because they have a certain vision for the types of applicants they want to accept, and I'm not exactly fitting the criteria. So basically, I have to become like a lawyer and just sculpt my talents to make it seem like I'm an ideal candidate, when in reality I am not. So essentially I'm just lying, just in a more formal way, and it just doesn't feel good, and it takes a lot of effort to do that, to make your essay seem good. So I just don't like doing it. I have very little motivation for it, even though it logically makes sense and I could be earning a ton of money doing it potentially. So it's that internal conflict where but logically I want to do it, but emotionally I really don't, that just causes stress. And then especially if I'm feeling terrible about eating, I'm not very motivated to push through doing the scholarships. Anyway, so those are two things that are stressing me out. Anyway, yeah, this is definitely like just a more, even less planned out video than most. Normally, they are not super planned out. I kind of just ramble normally, but especially for this longer one, I don't really know where to go with it. So there's probably just gonna be a period of just silence before I come up with another topic. Yeah, alright, so another thing that I'm dealing with is just, I have so many superstitions, and I don't like talking about the superstitions, because that's part of the superstition, is that you're not really allowed to talk about it. But they just are constantly happening, and basically if something doesn't go in accordance to the superstition, it stresses me out, because I'm worried that something bad is going to happen, and I have like literally hundreds of superstitions that I have to follow to a T, otherwise something terrible is going to happen. And one of the issues is that historically, when I haven't followed through on superstition, the coincidences occurred where something bad has happened, and it's just reaffirmed everything. For example, I have a pair of black socks that are bad luck, and one day I was like, this is stupid, I'm just gonna wear the socks. And that was the day that I fell off of my bike and I hurt my hip to some degree. which I mean is a coincidence, I guess, but it just reaffirms the superstition. And if one superstition is reaffirmed, that means that they all are reaffirmed. So, and they're just constantly growing. There's always new superstitions that emerge when something good happens. Like when I have a good day, for instance, I'll go look back to what I did on that day and then try to emulate it for every other day because it brings good luck. Which I mean, it's just extremely illogical and it's so impractical because really, I mean, it just takes so much time out of my day to do these things. It doesn't really make sense. Yeah, I guess what's concerning is that just my mood is constantly changing. One day, like, I'll be perfectly motivated, and the next day I'll just be so out of it, just so self-harming, like, not in like a injury kind of sense, but just like wanting to just eat a ton of food even though I know it goes against my goals, or just not doing anything, just sitting and moping around, like just that kind of self-harm where it's just you're doing stuff that's not really productive. And I think it's also because just I view so many things in my life as not productive and like bad. Like for example, watching YouTube, bad. It's making me worse. Playing video game, bad, making me worse. So like there's basically I don't really give myself very many opportunities to just like relax and have a hobby that like is okay if I'm just not getting good at it and if it's not the most productive thing. And I think an important skill is just to realize that you have to be good at just not going backwards. You have to be good at just kind of staying where you are. So like maybe just going outside and going for a walk or just literally laying down and doing nothing. Like if that's relaxing to some degree, even if it's not necessarily like bringing you too much benefit, at least you're not going backwards, which is important.